Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
The first one, of course, is the fentanyl opioid crisis. The second vector is prescription drugs that are no longer needed and no longer used. When they're no longer needed, let's just get them out of our houses.
On average, over 280 Americans die every day from an overdose. Every 10 minutes, a child is in the emergency room for medication poisoning. 47% of misused prescription pain relievers are given or taken from a loved one. What's causing these statistics? Expired medications. In just a few minutes, we'll tell you how you can help reduce these numbers. Good evening, and thanks for joining us here for CBS 7 News at 9 on the CW. And thanks to those of you joining us on our CBS 7 YouTube page. I'm Jay Hendricks, and we start tonight tracking crime. Over the weekend, Odessa police responded to several calls about stolen Kias. While investigating one of these calls, officers found 4 people had left the area. 3 teenagers were located and arrested. 2 of them were found to be involved in the burglary of a Kia Forte being investigated, and one had confessed to the theft of a 2017 Kia Forte in a different case. 18-year-old Michael Ray Borrego, 18-year-old Jaden Alexander Valeriano, and 17-year-old Ludiman Marine were all arrested and charged. The details on their charges can be found on our website. Just go to CBS7.com. The Ward County Commissioners approved $41 million to fund a new jail in Monahans. This jail has been in the works for years, and the commissioners say it may not be a want for the county, but definitely a need with the aging detention center they currently have. Ward County Commissioners agreed that the current detention center is outdated and in need of major repairs. Instead of spending millions of dollars to make repairs, they decided it would be better to start from scratch. The residents have issues with the location, which is less than a half mile down from an elementary school in Monahans. However, the commissioners agree that this is the best location for the jail.
The reality is the likelihood of someone escaping from a secure facility such as the jail and going down the street and breaking into or entering another secure facility like the new school is just absurd.
By the way, the current jail is over capacity. In fact, in his 5 years as sheriff, Farron Valley has seen an increase in crime. The new jail and office will benefit, I should say, the current sheriff's and the future Ward County Sheriff's offices. The 12 acres of land will serve as the new jail, but also a new home for the sheriff's office.
This is going to be beneficial for the next 50 years, in my opinion. That's what we're working at. And also, there'll be room for expansion to this facility if need be.
There is also going to be a facility next to the jail for an animal shelter. Construction expected to start next month, and the project will be completed within the next 18 months. Do you know how to properly dispose of unused and expired prescription medications? If you don't, that's okay. There is a year-round prescription take-back program at Midland Memorial Hospital. It's called the INMAR program. The MMH drop-off box collects around 4 boxes a week, and on average, about 300 bottles in those 4 boxes. That's 1,200 bottles a week, with no telling how many pills are in those 1,200 bottles. Before the INMAR program, the only option was to get rid of expired medications was an annual drug take-back drop-off. That means people were holding on to expired meds for a whole year before they were able to properly get rid of them.
If we have old controlled substances, old antibiotics hanging around, they are no longer doing us any good, and we need to get them out of our medicine cabinets to protect our families and our loved ones and our friends.
To drop medication off, there is a drive-through that takes you within 15 feet of the ER doors, where the boxes are just inside the foyer before you enter MMH. The drop-off is for capsules and pills only, no vitamins, aerosols such as asthma inhalers, and no illegal drugs. Time now to talk your weather forecast. Hope you had a chance to get outside today. Temperatures in the 80s. Will that stick around? Let's ask Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller. Tom?
Well, we saw temperatures today only 3 degrees off a record high as we topped out at 86 degrees out at the Midland National Air and Spaceport. The hot spot was Rio Grande Village, 99 this afternoon, but we did get into the 90s for Presidio at 91, 93 in Fort Stockton, and 92 out towards the Pecos area. But it looks like we're going to start to cool off a little bit as we're seeing a quieter evening. The wind's starting to calm down as we are looking at those temperatures again, cooling off a little bit, but still very mild across many locations. But here's the good news, though. Those winds have calmed down. Still some gusts up to 20 in the Alpine area, some gusts up to 28 in Carlsbad, and of course, rather strong above 40 miles an hour over towards Guadalupe Mountains National Park. But again, a downward trend in temperatures here over the next couple of days, but we're not done with those 80s just yet.
Yesterday was the start of early voting for the Texas primaries. Just hours before the start of early voting, Representative Brooks Landgraf took to Facebook to clarify some confusion for voters of Ector County in regards to a text going around. In the text, Brandon Pugh, a nominee for Precinct 202 in Ector County, used Landgraf's name as an example of Republican campaigns he had worked for in the past. Pugh apologized for any confusion, and at about 2 this afternoon, he sent a new text message to Ector County voters to clarify any confusion from the last one.
It just states that all I was trying to do is just show people that I've been involved in grassroots campaigning, with Ector County for quite some time. And I had just helped on his campaign in 2014. And then as in his article, I did help an opposing candidate in 2016.
With it being an election year, messages like Pugh's are bound to go out for all races and parties. And Representative Landgraf says he wants people to do their own research if candidates reach out.
Always do your own homework. There are always going to be, many different sides in a political campaign who are making noise. To be an informed voter, sometimes you have to do your own homework. Don't rely on others to do that for you. You do your research, do your homework, and make an informed decision, and that's how this process is supposed to work.
Around 3:30 this afternoon, Representative Landgraf made an updated post on his Facebook page saying, quote, "I sincerely appreciate Mr. Pugh working to clear up the confusion on the issue. I am dedicated to clear and honest communication with voters," end quote. Both Landgraf and Pugh both emphasize people should make their voice heard through their vote. Everyone that has driven on I-20 in Midland has been affected by the construction that has closed exits, changed service roads, and even added time to your commutes. It has also affected local business owners in that area, especially Natalia's Cafe restaurant. Before the construction started, the cafe was busy with customers. On the second week of construction, though, both co-owners noticed their sales had decreased 50%. The owners weren't made aware that exits and service roads would be changed or closed ahead of time. Customers no longer being able to get to the restaurant didn't just affect customers, it also created the risk of having to shut Natalia's down entirely.
People getting off of interstates have no way of getting here, and not even is there any signs letting them know, like, detour or any heads up, and when they did that, they didn't even give us a heads up, so we didn't know what to tell our customers.
It was going to be like a drastic impact, in the restaurant, but I didn't know it was going to be this bad. It happened before, we have ups and downs. Is economy, we understand, we all go through that. But this time, I think it's been like a little more.
Since the closures, Natalia's Cafe has opened up their own Facebook page to help customers with navigating to the restaurant. According to TxDOT, the construction expected to be completed in the spring of this year. Midland ISD taking a new initiative to improve campus safety. The district is in the process of installing a protective film around all exterior doors. This special film is designed to make the glass shatter resistant, meaning a potential intruder wouldn't be able to easily break the glass to access the building. The film causes the glass to hold together even when shot with a bullet or smashed with a baseball bat. It's one of many ways that schools are working to ensure their students and staff are safe. The F. Marie Hall Foundation has awarded a $200,000 grant to the Education Foundation of Odessa, who will use that money to support the Ector County ISD Fine Arts Program. It will be used to buy 21 new pianos for different arts programs. Since 2019, ECISD has been working to get new pianos to every campus, and over the past 4 years, 20 pianos have been replaced. And now with this grant, 21 more pianos will help complete the piano overhaul project. President Biden announcing he is forgiving more than $1 billion in student loan debt for more than 150,000 borrowers. On Wednesday, the president approved student debt cancellation for people who have been repaying their loans as little as 10 years and took out $12,000 or less. The action President Biden is taking is through saving on his valuable education or SAVE repayment plan. One top economic advisor says while education is the key to a better future, the costs and associated debt are getting out of control.
We had been planning on doing this, later in the summer, but we were able to begin the process earlier. And so the president said, we should move it up as part of his directive to us and really his mandate to us to do as much as we can for as many people as we can.
Wednesday's announcement by the White House, they say it's the latest action in the Biden administration to address student loan forgiveness following the Supreme Court's decision to strike down the president's original debt relief plan. Borrowers can sign up for the SAVE plan at studentaid.gov. The administration also says the controversial pause on liquefied natural gas export projects is not permanent, but will be continuing for the time being. The administration paused new projects for liquefied natural gas in January. The move angered many Republicans in Congress who said the pause would allow Russia to corner the market. U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm says the pause is meant to help the U.S. evaluate the impact LNG has on the U.S. While Granholm says there is no ban, she couldn't say when the pause would end and emphasize it only impacts new permits.
I'm not going to put a time frame on it. We're working as fast as we can. So that $48 billion worth of LNG that's been authorized, that's still happening. But at some point, don't you say, well, what does this do to prices at home if we're exporting all of this natural gas?
Granholm also says the temporary pause won't impact relationships with allies, many of whom rely on the U.S. for natural gas. Still ahead, some promising tough sanctions against Moscow for its conduct against dual citizens and the Ukraine. The story is coming up. Two American citizens charged with espionage face more than 20 years in a Russian jail if convicted. This comes as tensions between the two countries are running high over the war in Ukraine and the latest death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
An amateur ballerina who lives in Los Angeles was arrested last month in Russia and is facing charges of espionage. Russia's Federal Security Service says Ksenia Karelina was raising money for a Ukraine charity, something Russia considers treason. Karelina is a dual citizen, but the U.S. State Department has not been able to get in and see her.
We will continue to try to work to free those American citizens who we have determined to be wrongfully detained, and we will continue to call on humane treatment for everyone.
U.S. Ambassador Lynn Tracy did get to meet with Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich, who is also charged with espionage. He was in court Tuesday and ordered to remain in jail until his trial next month.
No American citizen should consider traveling to Russia for any reason, period, because they are at risk of detention.
Americans are in Russian custody at a time where tensions between the two countries are on the rise, especially following the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny while in prison. Karelina's former mother-in-law says she's afraid what happened to Navalny may happen again.
We know it wasn't just a death, it was a murder.
Former President Donald Trump was asked about Navalny's death during a Fox News town hall.
Navalny is a very sad situation, and he's very brave.
He compared Navalny's legal custody to his own legal problems.
I got indicted. I never heard of being indicted before. I got indicted 4 times. I have 8 or 9 trials.
During a campaign stop in California, President Biden slammed Trump for failing to condemn Russian President Vladimir Putin for Navalny's death. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Wrapping up a warm day. In fact, only 3 degrees off the record high this afternoon. We're going to see a little bit of a cool down, though. We'll get back to February weather. We'll talk more about that and the weekend up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, as we take a look at high temperatures again today across the area, nearing records out there with that 86 out at the Miller National Air and Spaceport. If you're wondering, I think the record high was 89. I know that for sure, but I think it was about 1996 when that occurred. So we were close enough out there. 88 in Odessa, 92 in Pecos and Fort Stockton, 91 down in Presidio. The hot spot in the state Rio Grande Village, 99 degrees this afternoon. Now, we do have this next Pacific storm system starting to move in. Already seeing some clouds being picked up by the southwesterly flow associated with this. This is going to move across to our north, but it's going to swing a front through, and that's going to drop temperatures by about 10 to 12 degrees for tomorrow afternoon, but still above where we should be this time in February. Usually about 64 degrees is the average high temperature this time of year. Again, there's a look at some of that high cloudiness moving across, and again, we are looking at that next front starting to slowly move in out of southeast New Mexico into West Texas, so that wind shift will come around towards the morning hours, and we'll see some cooler temperatures. Get in on some of this, what they were dealing with in Albuquerque, as most of the state of Texas, well, the hottest stuff was back across West Texas, but you can see plenty of 80s, Dallas-Fort Worth area, and into portions of deep South Texas. Now, those futurecast winds, they are slowly starting to calm down, still stay up a little bit across the Guadalupes, a gust above 40 miles an hour through the morning hours. Then we'll pick up a little bit of breeze, some gusts 20 to 25 miles an hour out of the northwest as that front pushes through, again with some milder air across the area. Rest of tonight, here's what we are looking at, though, seeing that it's going to cool off a little bit, but not too bad really for mid to late February. About 48 degrees on the overnight low across the Permian Basin. Tomorrow, it's going to be a beautiful day. We'll have that northwest wind a little gusty, but temperatures are going to be fantastic into the 70s. And your CBS7 First Alert exclusive 10-day forecast showing even cooler temperatures on the way Friday. Great start to the weekend, but those 80s though back in the forecast. In fact, some areas will be pushing 90 plus by Monday afternoon, all ahead of another cool front, and this one will be a little stronger. It's going to keep temperatures a little bit milder into the middle to latter part of next week.
Still ahead, the Supreme Court deciding on whether to halt EPA air pollution regulations that could impact millions of Americans. The details are coming up. Supreme Court justices are deciding on whether to stop EPA regulations, restriction regulations that is, in 11 states that aim to reduce air pollution across a large part of the United States. And those states say the plans won't work and will put an unnecessary strain on state and private resources. Washington correspondent Ryan Henson has more from the Supreme Court.
The EPA's Good Neighbor Plan was designed to cut down on air pollution in 23 states. A federal court already decided that 12 of those states could be exempt. Now the remaining 11 are asking the Supreme Court to stop the plan entirely. The point of the plan was to stop pollution from upwind states from impacting families in other states. Ohio versus EPA is a group of cases from different entities challenging this air pollution prevention plan. During the hearing, justices asked why lawyers brought this case to the Supreme Court before the D.C. court could rule on it. In court, the remaining 11 states made several points. Since there's not 100% participation, the plan won't reach its objectives. Therefore, it's not fair to the remaining 11 states to abide by the regulations.
At that point, they could have said to EPA, these are the specific states that are out. We don't think the plan makes sense as to the remaining states.
Those states also saying getting into compliance is costly.
At the breakneck speed we're going in order to get into compliance with an unlawful federal rule, we are spending immense sums, both the states as well as our industries.
The EPA argues that stopping the remaining states from participating at all further hurts the states with pollution floating across their border.
In the Good Neighbor provision, Congress protected downwind states from pollution emitted in upwind states. A stay of the Good Neighbor rule would undermine that statutory goal.
The court says that the well-being of all states and impacted industries will be taken into account in their final decision. Reporting in Washington, I'm Ryan Henson.
All right, before we go, you're going to get some education here. The world's oldest unchanged brand logo is getting a facelift. You're looking at it right there. Lyle's Golden Syrup has been around for more than 140 years. We had to look this up. Tom and I were talking about this. In all that time, the logo hasn't changed until now. The unusual original logo showcased a lion's carcass surrounded by bees. It's a nod to the Old Testament story of Samson, who killed a lion with his bare hands and later discovered honeybees nestled in the carcass. It's an alternative wording from the riddle in the story, out of the strong came the came forth sweetness, okay? This is actually from England originally and apparently pretty popular there.
And I guess it's a honey-based syrup based upon all that.
It looks that way. Yeah, it
Samson
looks
and
that
everything.
way. And they say it's still going to be used in their classic golden syrup tin that you see there and also in bottles if you'd like to get it, but I think only online or on Amazon.
Yeah, on Amazon. We looked it up.
Looked it up, that's right.
Anyway, though, we're going to see a little bit warmer weather in our forecast, but it's going to hold off until next week.
All right, Tom, thanks. Thanks for joining us here at 9 on the CW. We have more news coming up tonight on CBS 7 News at 10.